This is another newer set of colored pencils on Amazon by the company MyArtScape. It's 72 premium softcore oil-based colored pencils, and since I do love oil-based colored pencils, I decided I had to give it a go. So it has the hinged tin, and inside it's got download-free coloring pages. It has a MyArtScape Hope for Tomorrow, a coloring journey of endangered life. It's a little coloring book. Paper feels pretty slick. It's kind of a cute book. It's got information in here about the different endangered animals. And then of course it has a color swatching, which I already tested a few of the colors on here. This card has a little bit more tooth than some others. I might get around to filling these all out, but I just wanted to test a few. And it has your typical 3 trays for a 72 set. The plastic on these trays is actually much thinner than, I mean, they're usually not great, but these ones are very, very thin, so you have to be careful when you lift them out. The pencils themselves, I believe they said that they have like a 3.5 millimeter core, which hopefully you can see that. I actually measured it and it is accurate. The pencils have the name and the color number on them. One thing, and these are mixed around because I've had them out, but one thing that is nice about this set is they're in here in numerical order. So this would have been the first tray, and they start at 1, which is on the chart, and they go through numerically, which is nice because then you don't have to hunt and peck if you want to actually fill out the color chart. The bottom one does not have any different finger holds than the others. And I put these pencils through my standard tests, which are really bad coloring book paper, half decent coloring book paper, and I also like to try it on the heavier weight Kirby, I believe it is, coloring book paper. So the first test was on the cheapest coloring book paper, and I have to say they did really bad, but almost all pencils do really bad on this paper. I don't even remember where I got this particular book, but it's a pretty slick paper. The pictures are not really great, but you know, for experimenting. So I used a very light hand, and I put several layers of 2 different colors of blue, 2 different colors of orange, and 2 different colors of yellow there. You can't even hardly tell. Here I tried to blend with colorless marker. Not really great. This was a colorless blender, and this was a burnisher. Very unimpressed on that particular coloring book paper. The next test was on a higher quality coloring book paper that has some tooth, and they performed much better on here. So this area right here was just the pencils, and right up here this half of the flower was just pencils. The face of the bird I used a colorless blender, and then this half of the flower I used a burnisher. The burnisher I was using was a Derwent burnisher. So they actually, you can see they did pretty decent on the better coloring book paper. So then I tested it on a page out of a Kirby book, and they did very nice on here. Now, the Kirby books actually have a fairly slick paper, but I've always found that a better quality oil-based color pencil does really nice on here, and particularly if you use a colorless marker to blend it with. So right across here, this is just the pencils. Down here is where I blended them with a colorless marker, and up here I blended them with a colorless blender. And you can see that this set of pencils actually performs very nicely on this paper. And Then I went ahead and I pulled out my sketchbook that has a nice high quality sketch paper in it, and I just started filling around with them on here to see just what they could do. Here is a colorless blender, and this is colorless blender, the blender marker, and then this is just the plain pencil. As you can see, you can do pretty decent sort of comic booky art with it. But then my next test was to see if they were any good at doing semi-realism. And so I started in on doing an animal eye here, and as you can see, these pencils, they performed very, very well. This is mostly just the pencils straight. The white is actually white gel pen. I find that that really brings out the good highlights if you want to put them on your eyes. And what was nice is this particular pencil actually let me put one of the highlights right on top of the pencil without any issues. I used a little bit of the colorless marker blender in this area, but everything else is just the pencils. So overall, I was really impressed with them. Now obviously, you know, they're not a professional colored pencil. No idea what the light fast ratings are, and they probably aren't that good. But just for sketching in your sketchbook, playing around, doing coloring books, it's actually a very nice set of pencils, and I would recommend them. If I run through these ones, I will probably buy another set.